Hey everybody, we've recently had an update to our co-op commanders. I think it's patch 4.3.6 or something like that. Anyways, Artanis, Raynor, and Swann got some updates, but I'm just gonna go over every commander. Might as well. Um, Before, I would always go with increased speed for dropout units. Now it's just research costs, just makes everything kind of go a little faster. If you're going bio, this makes more sense, but I find myself just liking this one right now. Banshee is pretty darn good. Hyperion does have a whole minute and 2-minute cooldown reduction, but I still like the Banshees because they're out for basically 30 seconds, or they're basically only gone for like 60 seconds or 30 seconds if you have this one. And then mech attack speed, pretty important if you're going for mech, heal additional targets. This is basically turning into mech or bio, mech or bio. But I find myself using mech attack speed a little bit more because it does increase Banshees, the Hyperion, or any sort of mechanical unit's attack speed. But if you do like bio, go with this one. Kerrigan hasn't really changed at all, but I do go a 50-50 here just so I can use her abilities a little bit more. What's going on, Kristen? How you doing? Augmented Mobilization Wave is just really good. Kerrigan does most of the work, and this one basically kills off almost everything except for a couple things. And Expedious Evolutions just makes so much more sense than the Prolonged Mutating Carapace. Artanis now has a couple new ones. I have been doing this one, and more this one than this one. I do 20 and 10, sometimes 15-15, depending on what I'm really trying to go for. But if you use the shield overcharge, it actually helps a lot. One thing that I always recommend is actually warping in the units you feel you're going to need to push and then using it. Because if you warp in a unit after you've used the shield overcharge, they don't get that shield overcharge. So make sure that you do that before you push in. Give yourself maybe an extra 10-30 seconds, and that way you can get the most out of your shield overcharge. And I like adding a little bit more of this because this is the only way that you heal units as Artanis if you're by yourself. Increased speed for warping units is pretty cool for like Tempests and stuff like that, but most units are pretty fast anyways, so you don't really need to worry too much. But I do like this one. It makes every single unit except for the Stalker have more utility, especially Reavers. Reavers are amazing with this one because they never run out of Scarabs. And then I've been going for increased initial and maximum Spear of Dune energy, about 10 to 20, depending on if you like to do your fast. You can almost do as like a Karax would and just use your Spear of Dune to take care of your rocks, or at least half of them. So if you do more here, you can use that a little bit more, but I still like Chrono Boost efficiency. It does help a lot. Swann, I do 26-34. This makes it so you can kill battle cruisers and everything with one sweep of your beam. And then the rest goes here because I just love my combat drop. Immortality Protocol, I always do this one. Structure health, it helps for sure, especially if you're going for static defense. But in the end, I still find that I like this one better. Just, you ever lose a tank, you know, they come back so quick. And Vespian Drone Cost, I still find myself doing this. Right now, it's currently bugged so that you can actually get it. I think it's like 75% reduction, so it's actually really cool now, but that's a bug and it's not going to stay there. So we're gonna, this still makes more sense. It does help your economy in the early game, but this is actually pretty fun to use. Zagara hasn't changed, but I do like life and energy for the ability to use her abilities that much more. Zagara attack damage is nice, but most of the damage doesn't really get done by her, and her Hydralisks take care of all the air units, and her Banelings take care of all the ground units. Baneling attack damage makes more sense than Zergling evasion, doesn't even help against spells, and that's what really kills a lot of the Zerglings. And then Roach damage and life, I find that makes more sense, because usually you can kill everything with your Sustained Frenzy, especially if you're going for Banelings, because there's no point in having an extended period of time for that, when in the end, they're all going to blow up in the first 10 seconds anyways. I go back and forth between these two. My normal way to do it is Dark Pylon Range, because this just makes it so you can have a bunch of cloaked buildings and stuff like that. But, this makes sense for certain mutations. A lot of hybrid, things like that, things you want to keep away from your army. Time swap speed increase, so important. This, again, kills everything so fast. What's the point of doing something, keeping it longer when time stop speed increase is so wonderful? maximum initial just so that I can get more black holes, more pylons, and more shadow guards. Combat unit cost reduction, very important. I find it's better 99% of the time, because then you can just get energizers out better. You can get everything just more efficiently. Coronawave energy regeneration means so much more than the healing beam rate. It's already pretty good on its own. They've already just recently buffed it, so why would you do anything else? And maximum initial spirit dune energy to make it so you can get your expo as soon as possible. Toxic Nest damage and respawn chance is huge. Just makes it so they do more damage, and again, you can use them more often. Mend healing just never really felt that great. Symbiote ability cooldown. Once they added this was something you were never going to change. Double biomass chance. It's cool, but in the end, I mean, you could even just do 0.5 here, but it's just not going to do as much. I mean, having a small chance is nice, but symbiote ability is basically how you get all your damage and you keep your ultimate evolutions alive. And I do a 15-15. I used to do only morph and evolution rate, but having more Toxic Nest means you get more biomass. Moving on to Alarak. Attack damage makes so much more sense, because most times than not you're going to use Ascendants and they don't care about their attack damage. Now you do the Deathly cooldown just because it's kind of a way to help make sure that you have some sort of defense if your army's kind of out of place, and a small way to teleport around. It really only makes it so you can get like an extra 1 Death Fleet cooldown or Death Fleet, but it does help. And then Structural Overcharge is so great for clearing enemy waves and clearing your rocks. Nova, Griffin Airstrike uses so much more. You're going to find that this makes so much more sense over the nuke and the Hollow Decoy. You're only going to be maybe 1 extra one, and even then, not always. This makes way more sense. Combat unit attack speed over Nova. She has more units that do more damage than her. The shotgun, it's not really going to increase that much extra damage by having the extra attack speed, but your units will. Tanks, having extra attack speed is huge. And then I do a 50-50 here so that I can use more abilities, but still have extra life regeneration. Volatile Infested is super good. Makes it so things explode. Really awesome. Apocalypse, kind of same thing with the Banshees. It's just so much more useful. You get so much more out of the Apocalypse when you do this. And then Infantry Duration makes a lot more sense if you're going for Infested, and Mech Attack Speed if you're going for mechs. I always end up getting some tanks, so I usually stick around on this one, depending on how big the map is, though. Phoenix. I've been doing this a little bit more. It feels like it helps a lot, especially to, you know, use your Arbiter suit to get things across the map, the Dragoon suit. It definitely, you feel it, but if you don't spam abilities, if you don't use all of these suits, constantly swapping between the two, go with a mech attack speed. I have the AI attack speed just so that you can get the Avenging Protocol a little bit more. I don't really need my heroes to stick around, but if you are someone who likes to do the Calarian or the Warbringer or something that have a, you know, you almost want them to stay around because it costs so much, then this is the one you want. Chrono Boost Efficiency and extra starting supply. I only do 10 because that's really all you need. Once you get to your supply cap here, after that 10, you've already got enough economy. You don't have to worry about needing more of that, and the Chrono Boost Efficiency makes more sense at that point. I usually do the Devour Healing Increase for the early game because it does help to, if you get into a sticky situation, you can heal yourself a little bit more. If you're really good at micro and you really know exactly what you're doing, you can easily do the buff duration. But, you know, sometimes I take my luck away from him, and I like having that. Pack Leader's active duration, so important. His pack leaders do huge damage, and the longer they're out, the better. I have done some gene mutation, but I just like Dehaka because if you solo or you just use Dehaka a lot, this just makes a little more sense. And last but not least, Han and Horner. I've been doing 50-50 on this one. His death chance, if you go for Reapers, makes a lot more sense. And Strike Fighters they're actually pretty powerful. So just having a little bit stronger death chance is nice, and a little bit extra area of effect is nice. Significant other bonus, that's all I really use. You don't really need the extra salvage chance, especially if you go for Reapers, because it's just extra minerals, and you're always floating minerals, or able to use them. And then I've been doing Magmite charges cooldown and arming time, because if you use those well, then you don't really have to worry about a lot of side attacks. But the air fleet travel distance does add a lot of DPS to the air fleet. So those are kind of things that you can think about which one you like to use more. But that's pretty much all the commanders. Thanks so much for watching. I'm on to F5.